my dad dated Tantu Cardinal.
Really?
He
Ooh,
has this
dang.
top secret, and he has a tattoo of her face on
Oh,
his arm. This is old school tattoos. This is like back in the
Oh,
60s. Like,
yeah. Okay.
anyways, so we call it his Tantu tattoo. He says it's my mom. It's not my mom. My mom doesn't look like that.
Settle down. Settle down. Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle down. Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle down.
Settle right down.
It's a settle down.
Kitadamska tinawa kakio, Mallory Yongwei Ninsigasun, Oniskapone Kotsinia. My name is Mallory. I come from the Satellite Cree Nation, and I'm the founder CEO of Indigenous Box. And I'm here with my co-hosts, ladies.
Tansei, I'm Felicia Dewar. I'm a single mom of two. I'm a member of Sucker Creek First Nation, and I'm the CEO and founder of Miskamassawin Foods.
I'm Vanessa Marshall. I'm the founder and CEO of Jack 59. Jack 59, we create incredible sustainable hair care products that are inspired by nature and backed by science.
Tansei Mahagan, Oyoyos, Asqueo, Natsiga-san. My name is Shawnee Gwynn, and I am connected to the Cunningham and Ferguson clans through my Métis heritage. And I'm also the founder of Pipiguan Petaguan and Wasigan Kisawatsuan.
In this episode, we're going to continue the conversation around AI and technology and talk about how it can be both helpful and hurtful in the conservation efforts and how it can continue to shape our relationship to the land. We're going to talk about what our ancestors would have thought about AI, and we're going to get right into it. So settle in, because it's time to
Settle down. Before we get started today, we want to take a quick second to thank our season sponsor, TELUS, for supporting the show. I don't know about you, but with life being so busy, I need my phone and internet to just work, and I don't have time to troubleshoot or juggle 3 different providers. So having everything in one place really makes a difference. And TELUS offers mobility plans, high-speed internet, and security services designed to work together and save you money when you bundle them together, which I take advantage of. If you're looking to simplify things without compromising on service, check out TELUS. I'm really excited to continue on this conversation from our last episode. Apparently, we had a lot to say. Who knew? But really excited. I think, Vanessa, this is really going to be a passion. It's all of our passions, but really, you're at the forefront of conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to turn this first question over to you and get your thoughts on AI and conservation and our land.
This is a big topic for me because I always have this sort of feeling that I'm being torn into 2 different places and I don't really know where I sit or where, my values are not being compromised when we use AI. So I'm gonna reference this article. It's called AI-centered conservation efforts can only be ethical if Indigenous people help lead them. I truly believe that this ties into exactly what you were talking about. Imagine if we were there to form those systems, in the very beginning. And I think that's super important. One of the things that I think about is I saw this piece of information that said 100-character prompt costs about a bottle of water. And to me that, I try to be, our whole goal is to reduce waste, reduce plastic. But I'm also sort of this side water warrior. Our products don't have any water in them because, and I don't think a lot of people realize the environmental cost of shipping water around the world. It is a huge cost, and that it's sort of an unnecessary cost. So when you're looking at AI and like they're wanting to build data centers in Alberta and I believe it's actually on your territory.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if it's on, but it's definitely Well, it
Treaty
would
8.
be. I mean, Treaty 8 territory, yes.
Yeah.
So, yes.
There's no
Yeah.
lines where the rest
Yeah.
That's what
It's
I'm
true.
trying to
That's
say,
our
yeah.
Absolutely.
territory.
Well, and I
Yeah.
guess Treaty 8, yeah, I mean, it's also ours. It just feels a
Mhm.
little bit removed because it's not kind of right by there, but Treaty 8 is such a huge territory. Um, I think my biggest question is, can AI actually, like, strengthen our relationship to the land? Is there any way that that sentence can make sense?
You just said that and I went, "No," was my first
Right?
thought.
Me
Like,
too. My first
as it
thought
currently
100% is
stands, I would
yeah.
say no.
Hmm.
But can you think of an
I think if we're involved in it, yes. Because I actually wrote a blog about this after we were invited to Switzerland and we spoke at the UN and at the AI for Good conference. And as I was walking around, these are all products they've selected to come because they're doing good in the world. All I could see was how we were all using AI to replace relationship. And that really freaked me
Mm,
out.
Oh, no.
And even I look at kids, like, and my son has one too. It's like how often you see parents replacing relationship with an iPad,
device.
right?
100%.
So it's already happening. But I think
Yeah.
when I think about developing Wasigan is if we're building in that misdirect or redirect, I guess, not misdirect, of saying, you know, the best way to learn this is to go outside, to go to ceremony, like, not giving all of the
Mhm.
answers and prompting. I think there is a way that we can because I find, my kids, what do they look forward the most to every year and talk about all year long? Well, the time of year when we're just outside
At the lake
at
or
the
doing
lake,
Yeah.
something.
and
In the
Yeah.
we
mountains
have,
and
like,
Yeah.
an
mine
old
too.
trailer, but my dad built this little kitchen shack, and there's a little bunkhouse, and so we eat outside. We're outside unless we're going to the bathroom or we're sleeping,
Mm.
right? And so that is their favorite time of year. And yeah, they have their devices, but they're outside. They have that relationship because 'cause we're outside. So I
Yeah.
think there is a way, but we also have to build boundaries and guidelines.
Well, one of the biggest things that this article talks about is making sure that Indigenous digital sovereignty and governance is essential to preventing the enforcement of colonial patterns.
Mhm.
So it is this weird in between. I feel like we're in this sort of building phase that, we've talked about fast tech before
Yep.
and having them just, going through and there's all these data centers being built and we really don't have the infrastructure yet to to get them to slow it down,
Mm.
or
you
the
know?
research on the
Uh,
long-lasting effects of those data centers because it is so new.
absolutely,
That's why they wanna
absolutely.
trial run them on
On
the
the
res.
res, of
I
course.
know
Right?
that
It's like,
does
how does
that sound
that
familiar to
oh my
anyone?
god, like,
Like,
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's wild to me, absolutely. I think just the whole energy, use of AI is mind-blowing. I don't think a lot of people realize the lines of servers and the energy and the coolant that is needed to run a
Mhm.
data center, and those are, they're coming more and more and more, and I don't really know, like, I don't wanna say that I get like, oh, like, my heart hurts, but I do feel a physical toll that all of this AI is taking, and really now, we had encyclopedias. When I grew up, we had encyclopedias to look in
and if
for
it wasn't in
information, like,
there,
I'm
good luck.
obviously dating myself, but, like, you didn't even have a current edition. I feel like,
That's right.
you're doing your book report from this encyclopedia, but you really can't even search any information now without using AI because even someone like Google, the first thing that comes up is
integrated.
their
Right.
AI
Yeah.
integration, right? Is Gemini. So, yeah, it makes me wonder, do we just have to get past this? And how do we get past that? And how do we keep Indigenous voices a part of that? I don't have any answers for that myself. I think you're at the forefront of a piece
Mhm.
of that.
This is where I need Mallory's help because, like, we have to lobby essentially the government to say we have to slow down and understand, like, how is Canada
Mhm.
allowing what are we saying is okay here?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, it's not ready. It's not ready to help us with
Yeah.
most of the things that people are already using it for. And we could go back and be, I think it's Janelle um, from Bloom and Brilliance who made this little art piece and it says, I work slow and grow things. And I just love that because that is so in line with our ways of knowing and being. And so much of what we're saying right now in terms of AI is really the system we're trying to change with all of our companies is taking a different approach. And I feel very conflicted from my values to get involved in AI, knowing the impact that it has. But there are,
But it's inevitable too.
but this
It's
is the thing.
happening.
It's like
Like
oil and
it's
gas,
happening
right?
whether you get involved or not,
Exactly. So
right?
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'll
absolutely.
get involved at the beginning, see what kind of change I can make. But at the same time, we're already making the data center we're using is the TELUS AI Sovereign Factory,
Mhm.
99% sustainable energy used for
Beautiful.
that data
Wow.
center. And it's in
Beautiful.
Canada.
So if you're
So
saying the machine is already in motion,
Mhm.
it needs drivers, and we should be in the driver's seat.
As an entrepreneur sitting here, all I'm hearing
tell me, tell me.
opportunity, opportunity, opportunity,
Mhm.
Oh,
opportunity,
100%.
opportunity. There's business here. There's a business
There's
here.
lots.
There's lots of businesses here. And, with the skill level that we have across Canada, I mean, why are we not building the TELUS data center, you know?
I don't know if our sponsor would like that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
good
Why aren't
point.
we?
Good point. But
Like, you're doing that.
right, we have that. Um, so that absolutely gives me hope.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we're actually sitting here having this conversation with someone who is not afraid to jump in at the beginning. And so that would be my shout out to our listeners is let's get on this.
Yeah,
Let's
for sure.
develop,
Hey, absolutely.
more
Well,
programs.
and like speaking of TELUS, I mean, why not approach them as a conversation? I
Mhm.
mean, Indigenous people make up about 5% of the population, but we are the largest protectors of the land.
Yeah, 80%.
80%.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's where it starts is with those conversations. And you're right. Like we need to march to the capital.
March to the cup.
Right?
Toward the camera.
Stop.
Okay.
Not talk dirty to me, Vanessa.
Right.
Do not.
But I mean, yeah, why not go into a partnership? We know that a certain
Absolutely.
certain dragon or shark, dragon, both, wants to build his resource sucking data centers
Ugh.
in our communities. Why are we not preempting that by saying, "Hey, tell us, let's have a conversation.
Mhm.
We'll build them here. We'll build them. We'll own the infrastructure. We don't need this guy to come in and do that for us, but we'll rent him.
Yeah.
We'll rent it to him."
Well, I think some nations actually are already having these conversations and building them, and that's where I start to get excited. Same as like
Mhm.
when I say to in our PR firm, I'm like, "We'll work with resource extraction if you're partnering or allowing Indigenous people to lead, because
Yeah.
then it comes from a
Mhm.
sustainable place, right?
Mhm.
Or it's economic sovereignty for their people, which then leads to sustainable practices.
Yeah.
It sometimes one thing has to come before the
Mhm.
other, and we have to be patient, unfortunately, because the colonizers, they don't wait for anyone,
No.
and
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
and they have no goal to protect the environment. It's the farthest thing from their priorities.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So I think
100%.
I think it's imperative that Indigenous people are involved in building these data centers
Yeah.
because I know we keep going back to TELUS. It's not intentional.
Sorry.
It's just that a lot of people don't understand that they actually have a lot of sustainable
They do,
initiatives.
they
They
do.
plant trees. They're very incredible for this. So I love that they are also thinking about that. They have a lot of involvement with Indigenous people. So they are an organization that is taking that information and using it in a positive way.
I'm on their Indigenous advisory circle, and, I'll tell you, at first I was skeptical. Big corporate Canadian
Yeah.
company. But over, I don't know, I think it's probably been 5 years, I just am always impressed. I can't believe all the things that they do either, it's very interesting, and they
Mhm.
bring so much to us to advise on, and that's how easy it could be for your AI company is, like,
Mhm.
and just bring a couple of us in at first and have us start advising, and maybe we don't know everything, but we know who we are and how we look at the world.
Mhm.
We know the
Exactly.
values, right?
That's a good point
Yeah.
for like many organizations, corporations who are looking to participate with or looking to include communities, like have an advisory circle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, what's the
Yep.
resiest thing you can do? Tell us.
Right?
Ask our auntie.
Absolutely. Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, that makes
Exactly.
sense, right?
I love that. I see that business too. Ask an auntie.
Yeah,
Like, oh
right?
my
Well,
God.
1-800.
McEwen, my
Right?
Yeah.
alma mater, McEwen, they have auntie in residence, and
Ah,
it makes so much sense. Like
Yeah.
you,
totally.
you need that guidance. You
Are
need
you
that.
the auntie in residence?
No, I'm not, but I aspire to be.
Yeah, I can so
I
see
love
that for
that.
you.
Just imagine though, like with these data centers coming into our communities, like what, like traditional communities, like imagine what our ancestors would have.
Oh my gosh.
Are they shaking in the,
I
in the
know,
ground, being like,
right?
"What's going on?"
Well,
What would they think
I
of
think
this?
that's right, right? But I think it goes back to that piece. Like it just has to go back. It's happening anyways.
Yeah.
And I think their advice would be exactly that. Take it away and make it yours and build it the way that it should be built.
Well, and that was the thing is that they would send our people out to learn the white man's
Yeah.
language and to learn how to read their contracts
Yeah.
and to learn and not to live in that world,
Right.
but to learn it and then bring it
Yeah.
back to the community. And I feel like with AI, I agree. I feel like they would say exactly what you're saying. Like it's not going away.
Yeah.
You need to be a part of this and you need to ensure that it's not created as just another tool for colonization.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You need to make change. You need to be there from the beginning. And if they won't let you in the door, then make your own,
Yeah.
and
Well, and I feel like because I am, a ceremonial person and the way that we named Wasigan and then even the phase approach we take to informing this tool, it's guided by ceremony. And so we've actually asked the ancestors and they have said, proceed, but with the elders and proceed slowly and with caution. And I'm like, perfect. That's what I want to do anyway. So I feel like, yeah, I think they're, I think they're on board. But again, it's the 7 generations thinking. They want us to take that with us. Like, are we
Mhm.
harming?
Yeah.
Are we making decisions that harm them or our future? And what is that relationship, right? I'll tell you, data centers on the res, free security, pack of res dogs will
Right?
oh my
keep
God.
anyone. Your data is safe. Yeah.
Just get in your car there.
Well, and maybe so, like, maybe there is also a piece of like, I don't know the technology. I don't begin to know that, like, to pretend that I do. But in my thoughts, you're in a colder environment the more north that you go.
100%.
So is that meaning, that
Yeah.
that actually
Less
is more
water.
sustainable? No, we're now using less water because we're having to cool it less.
Is that why
You
they're
know?
thinking of doing them up here in our
I
cold
I
climate?
don't know why they were thinking of it. I actually
Mm.
don't know the motivation
But then just
behind
keep
that.
going. Like it just gets colder and colder. Keep walking.
Right.
Like,
What a cycle! Like colonization brought people to our territory. We showed them how to survive in the cold.
mhm.
Right.
Now, data centers are coming. We're showing them how to survive in the cold. Like it should be us showing them how to survive in
Yeah.
the cold.
100% it should be.
Yeah.
Shawnee, I've been wanting to ask, what does your name mean? It's a Cree name, Wasigan
Oh,
Gisawatsuin.
Kisawatsuwin.
Win.
it translates to kind energy or kind electricity. And so, what Elder Teresa told me when she gave the name was that, traditionally, thunder was a very loving, kind sound or energy. It meant the rain was coming, sustenance.
Regeneration.
Exactly. Yeah. Cleansing of the earth. But in modern day, a lot of people fear that sound, especially like newcomers to this land. We're not used to thunderstorms, right? And so there's a lot of fear. And it's sort of like you can accept that this is a kind thing. It's not something to be scared of. And so when she named the company, she wasn't on fully on board with the elders advisory, so she didn't know anything about what I was doing. And so when that name came and I was just like, that's exactly it. I want to give this kind energy to the world and show, what's at the heart of our community, really. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's what the meaning is. I just love it.
I love that.
Yeah, our little logo is a thunderbird and there's a little heart. And actually, one day I was driving Charlie home from swimming and I was just, looking at the night sky because we live in the country. And I looked up and the northern lights were out.
Mm.
And I pulled over and I was like, Charlie, let's get out and look at the northern lights. And I took a picture and then I sent it to my sister and I just didn't really think about it. I didn't look at it. I just took a picture, sent it to her. And then she goes, when I got home, there's a text from her. She's like, oh my gosh, it's your logo. And I was like, what? And I look at the picture and the northern lights look like a massive purple and green and black thunderbird in the sky.
Oh, great.
It's my screensaver on my computer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wild.
Wow.
Hey?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a great story.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
AI can also be so much fun too. Like,
It
Oh my
can. It
goodness.
really can.
I
Yeah.
tried to have conversations with it, to put on the voice one. But Felicia showed us this really funny thing we just did.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
do you wanna explain it?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm just so excited to be talking about AI today. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. But so, I kept seeing this meme happening. Sort of everyone was using AI to create this caricature of themselves, and I don't like using AI for creative or image generation, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to show everybody what I keep trying to explain. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this one. And so I went into chat and I don't have a profile, so I had to create one. And I'm like, okay, chat, show me a picture of me based on everything you know about me online. And, here's a couple of pictures of me. And it created this image I think we're going to show. So there I am.
The bird on your dress.
I know. Like, it doesn't know if it doesn't. I think when I see this, it's like it doesn't know what type of Indigenous. Like, am I Indigenous to South America? Am I Indigenous to North America?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I see some influences in there. Then there's like the buffalo, I think a smudge bowl, an eagle, there's a feather. I
Every
think
trope known to man.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
like everything it
Fish
says
scale
Métis. It couldn't spell the Cree like Pipiguan Petaguan right. There's a O in there, and then there's like a Métis headstone that I'm like, what?
Foreshadowing? What the heck
I
here?
know, and so
Gosh.
okay, that's adorable.
Oh
Okay,
my
yours
goodness.
is adorable.
Check out how big my hand is,
I
though.
love that.
Oh my gosh, you
And
got
your
your
feather
tattoo in there.
Ah, it did. It took my tattoo. Yeah. It's amazing though, because
I
this is
love
actually an in-house, like our chat GPT that we use for our business. And we've tried to train it to say our bars are circles. And it will forever put a square soap bar, like an actual soap bar in my hand. I mean,
And
from
behind
the
you, too.
bottom, like they're all, even on the shelf, they're all actual like bars of soap.
Well, at least it gave you a round earth
Oh
and
my
not a flat
gosh.
one. Okay. So
What?
hilarious.
Nice
What is
dress.
that?
That's what I want to know. So it created its own language.
It created its own
Crazy.
syllabics.
Korean.
Oh,
Right? Did it just seriously create its
Yes.
own language?
Yes, I think it's trying to represent Cree-syllabics, but it doesn't know Cree-syllabics would be my guess.
Interesting.
There's
So
the letters in there. Ka.
oh my gosh, Valerie.
that is actually really
Shop
cute.
us at indigenousbox.ca.
Right.
I don't even have a store.
What is
damn.
this happening? Why is that arrow thing and
I don't
everything?
know.
It's like an arrowhead
It
in
just
the medicine
created you
wheel.
like its own logo.
It just
Yes.
wants me to remember. Look up. Sacred.
Right.
But isn't it interesting how it's, your guys's are not, well, me and Mallory seem a little, well, and then the Cree-syllabics
Like
actually, but yeah, very plays into tropes. It doesn't
Yeah.
know who we are. And, there are other, brown people I know that did that and it didn't pull any sort of like there was no Taj Mahal behind them or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
so it's just interesting what it does with like almost all the Indigenous people I know who were posting on LinkedIn. It had all of these symbolism, tropes,
Just to
stereotypes.
show
like,
that they
in-
were
Beaded
Indigenous.
earrings.
Yeah.
Beaded earrings. Because in my photo that I uploaded, I wasn't wearing beaded earrings.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh,
It
yeah.
adds
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it
found-
is. It is interesting. So thanks for doing that. But also good to know is that to create just one image, it takes the equivalent of charging your cell phone, which is probably around 20 minutes if you have, like, a fast charging.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's quite a bit of energy just to create one
One of
image.
those
Yeah.
images.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
That's a really good
Yeah.
segue, though, into what we also wanted to discuss today, which was AI for art or creativity
Oh,
or
yeah.
music or
Yeah.
deep fakes, voices,
Right.
images.
Scams.
I was on Facebook First Nation the other night and I saw Christy Belcourt, this amazing artist.
Yes.
I follow her because I'm absolutely in awe of her
Mhm.
work. And she was talking about putting an additional clause in some of her
yeah.
contracts.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was
Mhm.
generally curious because like, what does this mean for art? Once you upload it, but also from like the business side of art, once you sell your art to someone,
Yeah.
you you don't have any rights to it anymore, and then it gets uploaded to AI, and then also, where does it stop? And my question to her was like, so does that mean like people shouldn't be taking pictures of art because like the end
Right.
result, people are posting them on social media and sharing on social media. So I mean, I say this in the world of supply chain too, is like when people talk about Indigenous business, I always say, how far back in the supply chain removes the Indigenous ownership, and because we're
Mhm.
integrated in so much supply chains, right? And so like same with AI, like how far back are we going to try to control before it just kind of takes over and owns whatever it
Yeah.
gets around us?
We're in the era of
Very true. Yeah.
post-plagiarism
Oh,
because,
yes.
ev for so long, everybody was like, "Oh, this social media tool, I can now have access to sell my beadwork or
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
artwork," and now maybe you've built your whole business, and so you've put your whole portfolio, everything you've ever
Mm.
created, and now Meta owns it, and it's in their AI, and so now anyone who creates art you have no control over whether your image or creation is being used and appropriated. And
Mhm.
everything, though, you have to look at AI. Everything it sends you is appropriation.
Right.
There is no consent for a lot of the data that's been put
Yeah.
into it. So you have to think about your values there too. Like, am I using it to create a blog post for me? Well, it's stolen from all these other
All the
Oh,
people.
other
original
information that's
thoughts.
on
Oh
there.
my
Yeah.
Exactly.
gosh.
Yeah.
People are screenshotting books and putting them into or screenshotting, taking pictures of book pages and
Yeah.
entering it
Right.
into so, yeah.
Wow. What does this mean for like Indigenous artists? Like when we first started, our goal was to champion Indigenous businesses, and then artists came to us and they're like, "Art is a business too. Like this is my
Yeah.
livelihood." And then I realized, oh yes, okay, yeah, we have to include that too. And then writing, the authors who are out there, that's their business, that's their livelihood. And what does this mean for like how
It's
things are
true. And
trending?
right. And it's also like when you're consuming um art, media, whatever, does it make a difference if it was AI or if it was a person? Because to me it does,
Oh,
Me
for
too.
Well,
sure.
right?
it
How we
Because
think about things, like art, I think
yeah.
I took an art class for my little gift for myself for my birthday, but
Cool.
it made me think so much about like my own self-reflection on like how colors were relational, how things work
Right?
together. And that's why maybe I appreciate Indigenous art so much because it tells these like really incredible stories, and everybody gets a different story from it. But when I look at Christy Belcourt's work, you just see this like journey, and like she shares so much of who she is in her artwork. And when you look at AI images, like there's nothing. It's one dimensional.
Mhm.
Oh, that so leads into what I wanna say because do you remember back in the day, we didn't have all these processed foods on the shelves? Everything was like grandma's garden, it was homemade, and if you made
Yeah.
cookies, you didn't have Oreos, that wasn't a thing, and so the calories were dense, they were rich, they came from our gardens, from the earth, and now we have all these processed foods, and now every day you hear about empty calories and how they
Mm.
don't fill you up, they don't keep you as full as real food, and you've got these empty calories. That's how I look at art. Art is our from the creator. It's like our land. It's full of meaning and good intention and love and skill. And then you have the AI created art, which is there's nothing in it. It's just air. There's no rhyme or reason. There's
No
nobody.
substance.
Mm.
A good example is so we used Kevin Cardinal to create that sounds terrible. We asked Kevin Cardinal to create a logo for Pikisquewin, which again means language in Cree. And he smudged over it and he prayed over it and he put good intentions into it. And so when we got it, you can feel that,
Yes.
right? You can feel that. And then that's how we wanted to start the platform is with good intentions, with creativity, with heart, right? Um, and AI will never give you that.
Mm.
Never, never, never. It'll always just be empty. And so I think it's really about parameters around how to use AI. You said it best, like create a policy where, we don't manipulate images. We don't, use AI to create artwork that we're then going to
Mhm.
sell or showcase or say is Indigenous just because I'm the one that used the keystrokes, right?
Mhm.
Um, we do a lot of that, but what I have seen, especially in mainstream media and newspapers, they will use AI to create a photo, and they'll say created by AI, which I appreciate. I do appreciate that, but we like one of our folks that are helping us with this podcast, Amber Bracken, photojournalist. That's her art. That's her
Yeah.
Mhm.
creativity. And now we're saying it's okay to replace her with this dead wasn't on
Yeah.
site, didn't feel the emotions, didn't experience the emotions, didn't see what was happening, and now we've got this
Didn't
dead
Mhm.
experience. That's a big
right?
part
Exactly.
of it,
Like
Because
right?
think about why
Absolutely.
do we create? Why do we make art? Why do we write a story? It's us
Mhm.
expressing ourselves. And like you're
Mhm.
saying, like if I go to the art gallery and I go look at one of Alex Janvier's paintings there,
Mm.
I cry. Like I
Mhm.
feel it. I feel something. And it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to inspire you. It's supposed to
Mm.
feel something. You're seeing someone's expression of self or a thought in all of these different outlets. And so, why are we doing it? And it goes back to even what you were saying in another podcast about how, Indigenous people were doing these things for a reason. Whereas some of these other businesses, it's because they're making money and profit is king. And so, that's why a lot of these AIs do all of the things because profit is most important. Whereas when we're talking about it, we're like, yeah, we lose that part of us that makes us human, you
Mhm.
know?
That beauty.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
if Indigenous art is being used by other people to be created, then it's appropriated. And can we ever get ahead?
Mhm.
You know?
I know. I I hate to always be the one that is like, oh, I get down about it. We went to this big conference in Palm Springs with, it was an incredible event. And we basically met these AI guys who were like, don't bother ever writing a book. Just have AI write it
Mhm.
for
Oh
you.
my
Like,
god.
why would
Oh
you
my
waste the time
gosh.
when AI can do the exact same thing for you? And so, like, as a business owner, also, what resources am I using to build my business? I'm reading books, but are these real books? Like who wrote these books? Like you know what, there's just this like you watch a video online and like something is extraordinary in the video or like looks sort of maybe
Yeah,
surreal. You're like now I always am like is this real?
I
Is this
know.
real? Like having that not really knowing what to believe, but I hope there's never a time where you can not never tell. You know
Yeah.
what I
I like
mean?
to think that I'm like I say this to Cam because he was showing me this AI generated album on
Okay.
it was on Spotify or something, but he was like it was created using all AI and it had X amount of downloads and I was like that's terrifying because I think of myself as like being a beneficiary of other people's talents,
Oh,
music. It's just how I
Yeah.
see the world,
absolutely.
the art. I get to be a beneficiary of their storytelling, their
Mhm.
what they share, and, like, I'll soak it all up. But, yeah,
My
AI
thing
is
is that you really feel it. A good artist
Oh,
makes you feel
Of
it.
course.
There's nothing on A that has made me feel anything other than anger or hilarity, like, at how stupid it is.
Right.
Mhm.
I do have to run. I'm actually gonna go and spend some time with the land, and I'm
Oh,
super excited about it, and I've loved this conversation with you ladies today, but I don't want you to stop because I think you're on a roll and you've got really great things to say, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna duck out.
oh,
Um, yeah, and I'll report back, and hopefully I catch, the big walleye, the big one that I can
yes.
share with everyone.
Nice.
Awesome. Have fun
Yeah,
fishing.
yes. Have
thank you
fun.
so much for this today.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Felicia. Bye. Have
Happy fishing.
fun.
Catch big walleye.
Get the big one.
Bring us back some fish.
Right?
Well,
It's my favorite fish, walleye.
I know.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Fried
Whitefish.
walleye.
Whitefish.
Well, we're gonna have a versus whitefish. So this kind of is where we wanted to go next, was about using AI as a strategist or a helper or and a helper, which I think I'm kind of hearing where we're ending up. But you know, Omar sent this other article about the Indigenomics Institute. To better measure Canada's $100 billion Indigenous economy, CEO Carol Ann Hilton says that the GDP overlooks the complexity of the Indigenous economic activity. And, with the backing of TELUS, they're able to sort of see or quantify participation while protecting data sovereignty, ensuring Indigenous leadership, to avoid repeating extractive patterns. And so, what do we make of this? What do we make of AI doing this pattern recognition and then possibly also advising?
That's loaded. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. It's a hard one. Carolyn Hilton, incredible, knowledge keeper, sharer. She's an incredible teacher. I met her a few times and read both her books. She has 2 books out. But back when we first started Indigenous Box, she was talking about the $30 billion economy that was expected to triple in the following 4 years. COVID happened, obviously, but the fact that we're at that mark and that
Yeah.
we can show we can demonstrate our participation in the economy. I think that when she talks about complexities on it missing some of those aspects, I think it does kind of overlook it because we're not participating in the same way as in non-Indigenous businesses with AI, with our businesses being very visible.
Mm-hmm.
We take we're taking data that is across the board readily accessible and failing to see what's happening in community, what those circular economies are actually doing, aside from what's happening in the cities or urban areas, right? Like, think about back home in my community, like how many people, so many entrepreneurs, so many, they're hustling, they're selling their beadwork, they're selling their artworks, they're creating these own small circular economies that maybe that's what that data is missing, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, half of them don't even have internet,
Actually, yeah, that's true.
right? Like
Barely have
when you
internet.
look at I think like a big part of this is they are missing a big piece of it because uh we're not as bold in the set. Like, we're bold, don't get me wrong. But I mean, we don't have the same connections. We don't
Mhm.
have the same resources. We go at a different pace and our priorities are different. So we might not necessarily be saying, "Hey, I need to be a part of this information," or "Hey, we were talking about procurement through the government," and
Yeah.
although it's always been on my radar, it's sort of like there's a program, but like, really, who do you ask? Because we've kind of reached out and we've never had an answer back. So it's like, what exactly are they looking for? I mean, are they looking for shampoo bars? I army. Just kidding.
Call me.
Right? Call me.
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. It's just sort of one of those questions that we do it so differently. Is it not being captured because of that? I don't know.
Well, I think if it is a pattern recognition software, which is what we have learned it to be, you know, it, I think of it this way. Indigenous people are constantly saying the same thing over and over and over again. And typically it's like one or two of us that get invited to a space and we're saying the same thing and then they don't listen. Well, if it's a pattern recognition software, I see what Carol Ann Hilton is doing here. It's like this colonizer tool is going to validate the data that we give it. And so we're going to be able to say, this is the pattern we are showing you now. This is based on the data because that's the stuff that they listen to.
Yeah.
And then I guess on top of it is I think of
I didn't think of it. Sorry, it gets us in the room.
Yeah,
Totally.
With governments who are
I'm
now
kind of-
needing
yeah.
external validation about what's happening in our communities. Clean drinking water. Hello, if AI says that there's no clean drinking water, like, come on. I
Right?
see where it's going.
You know
That
what I
makes
mean?
sense.
Like thinking
Yeah.
about how many people use AI and take it verbatim. Well, if it had Indigenous knowledge and they
Yeah.
were taking that verbatim. And I think about this tool I learned about when I was in Geneva, and there are these folks, and they in Ghana, and it's the Indigenous weather app. And at first, they were using AI to predict weather patterns. It had a 50% accuracy. Then they started working with Indigenous people in the area and started transferring that Indigenous knowledge, that science, that weather
Mhm.
prediction, put it into the app, increased it to
Uh,
80%
of course.
accuracy.
Yeah.
Like, are any of us shocked?
You're
No,
Not at all.
but everyone at the conference was, and they were able to effectively
Interesting.
plant and harvest successfully during a drought,
Wow, that's incredible.
Mm.
right?
It will change how our communities operate, absolutely. I'm so still stuck on this idea that it's going to change how governments air quotes, handle us.
Yeah.
The strategies they apply to the funding that they give to communities for XYZ
Exactly.
problems.
It'll be harder to ignore. It's like again,
Yeah.
it's like idle no more. If we use it the right way, it brings us all together to put our data that we want to share to prove that there are real challenges and issues, and they cannot ignore it because it's like we as humans, we are pattern. We
Mhm.
do pattern
Yeah,
recognition,
absolutely.
Yeah.
right? And that's what gets our attention. So it's a helper to help validate our advice probably, I think.
Oh, absolutely, it's
Yeah.
going
That's
to.
incredible. Absolutely. They're just it's like when you when you kinda have a picture of your AI, you like, I got my AI is like this woman who, I obviously it's not, but I always think like, "Oh, we're just gonna create this big, tall white man that they all listen to." And no, I don't know. It's just a silly way that I think about it, but it is also sort of weird that people do take this knowledge as though it's coming from like an actual source, like a person or something, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's interesting that the AI is sort of like Caucasian,
It is. Their
Like,
papers, their papers.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't listen to the actual indigenous people. Now listen to the
Mhm.
AI that has
Mhm.
finally it's just weird to me when yeah.
I wonder, like, and maybe this is somebody should create. Maybe this is too far gone, but like, I think somebody should create an AI, um, mechanism, and maybe this is already with Run With It Synthetics.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
he
yeah.
amazing. Oh, their company's amazing. I just love them both too. But create a AI maybe mapping system that can track hunting practices in community, like
Mm,
like how many moose are left in this territory, how many bulls need to sustain themselves for another season to
right.
ensure the population, right? Like actually using AI to inform our traditional hunting practices is
To
like
help
I
monitor the land and the
yeah.
resources and the,
I think they have biologists do it right now, but it's kind of the same thing. Like I feel like they
But I
get it
mean
wrong.
accessible to people. Like biologists, yeah. And but I feel like they work in their own silo
But
too.
that's
Like
what I mean. It's
they
kind of
navigate all that.
they're at 50%.
Yeah.
So if you add the indigenous lens, you're like way up at 80%, you know?
there's this National Geographic article that I love to talk about a lot, and it's where um the Indigenous people or First Nations people in BC were talking about how the bears are their relatives there and that they actually like, they have stories around it. And so, they were working with this post-secondary, and they're like, they are they are like, we know their patterns, this is where they live. And so they were like, "Well, let's monitor the bears." And so they monitor the bears, and when they laid over the First Nations language maps to the different types of grizzly bears, they were exactly to the
Wow.
language maps. So when you pair Indigenous knowledge with Western knowledge, our elders say this all the time, they
Mhm.
actually work together. And I was at the this other conference, and they were talking about how Indigenous data is the new oil and gas or the new gold. And so people are looking to mine our data,
Oh my gosh, it
which
just
Yeah.
is why
reminded
it
me of
is
the
even
book.
more important to protect it from AI, because how is it going to be used? And but but the potential of our data being shared and changing hearts and minds is, astronomical to me. But I do stay critical, of AI. And, we were talking a little bit about it in the last episode of just becoming too reliant on it. It's like, are people reading everything, or are they just hitting click,
Yeah.
copy,
Mhm,
paste,
Yeah.
mhm.
submit,
And I
and
get so
then
bored of reading, like, I I'm I like to think that I'm a good pattern recognition person,
yeah,
and when I see, like, marketing ads or posts on social media, it's not about the blah, 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 it's about the blah, 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 and you're like, "Boring," like,
Right?
"Come on, guys, put some you in it. I want you. I don't want whatever ChatGPT
exactly.
spits out." Maybe it's like I still crave that authenticity of the story, and I will open up my heart and listen to the story and absorb it much faster than I will with AI.
Like a business perspective, that has been such a journey in our last like 6 months is just trying to find the right agency to do work for
Yeah.
you because and we've literally had the worst garbage sent back to us, like just spit right out of AI. But like, did you even look at it? Because if you even just looked at it, like it was just like all the information is absolutely wrong and it's so frustrating because you're paying these people a lot of money.
Mhm.
And that's all I want. I want that that personal story.
Yeah.
Like just tell her story.
What makes your
You know?
product yours?
Exactly. Why do you have to go through this big old AI? Like, you're not being more efficient because you're not keeping my money anymore.
Mhm.
So, like, some things don't need AI. Do you
Yeah.
believe that? I believe that,
I 1,000%.
right?
I refuse to use it for any image generation.
Yeah,
I don't
us
want my
too.
photo in there. I don't want people creating a photo of me with it. Like, I don't want. There's lots I can't do because there's lots of personal information about me already on
Yeah.
the internet,
Yeah.
right? But I make a conscious choice of using it more of like, help me organize my priorities for the day. Like,
Mhm.
I need to do a brain dump. Here's all the things I have to do. What do you help me?
Yeah.
And it will, or it'll help me make my meal plan, or all or my food sensitivities help me find recipes and things
Yeah.
like that. So I do use it more of like a quick task helper. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. I was gonna say something else about what you had just said, and I forgot it now. But yeah.
I, put, like, every time, well, the last few times, actually, I like to write these, blogs. Um, I'm old school like that, but it's like thoughts, late night thoughts that I have. I sent Omar one of the other night prematurely, but, like, I like to write these thoughts out because it helps me critically think about
Mhm.
the information that I'm absorbing from the media or the news and,
Mhm.
like, helps me understand at the same time I'm writing, right?
Yeah.
But when you put when I put one of those blogs into ChatGPT, it takes out my voice and
Yeah.
my tone, and I'm like, "Is that how I sound?" And my husband's always like, "That's not definitely not how you sound. It just made you very cold," and, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's trying to make it palatable or to have, like, a
Like
cohesive
logical,
statement.
I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
but it follows this weird story arc, like,
yeah.
the same pattern, and I'm like, "That's not how I speak or write."
And
Mhm.
this brings me to what I was going to say. I remember now is both have been talking about losing your voice,
Yes,
losing who you are. And I think that's what scares me the most is like, if
100%.
all these students start using AI to answer their exams or to write their essays, create a book, create this, create that, eventually we all lose our voice. What
Mhm.
happens to critical thought? What happens to authenticity? Um, so again, it's just always have to go back and be like, why am I using this tool today? Who am I accountable to?
Mhm.
We talked about that. So it's just I don't want to lose my voice. It took me so long to find it.
And I'm still learning too, like,
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to understand the world,
Yeah.
and so you could you can use ChatGPT to come up with to write your emails or whatever, but it takes away from you, and then for me, like, I've had to really learn how to be professional in my writing and emails.
Yeah.
I took 2 years of professional writing, like, in my business in university, and I really needed to understand how to write professionally. And so, like, sometimes it comes back when people just put ChatGPT and I'm just emailing with their ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And then I'll write back trying to understand what they're saying. And then they're like, well, you're laterally violent because I'm like trying to I'm just trying to understand what you're
Right?
putting in, but I don't know if you're reading what you're
Yeah,
sending me.
exactly.
And so like it just
So
could be being too good or too smart or whatever like people
right?
label you as
So,
because you're trying not to use it. Like
Oh
some
boy.
it's weird. It's a whole
it's
thing.
true, right? But as a business owner, like, I don't know where that balance is,
I don't
and I think that's
either.
a big part of that still learning. Like, we've tried some things and we're like, no.
Mhm.
And last episode, I mentioned Courtney, that she is incredible because she will instantly be like, oh no, that's AI. That isn't, we don't, no, no, right?
Yeah.
So she still is like absolutely designing everything that we put out, any graphics are we
Mhm.
refuse to use AI. We've kind of tried to enhance some pieces that weren't we didn't really need as but it just didn't work and I just don't enjoy it. Like that's not who we are. So how do you find that balance? I don't know. I mean, because I try to think like people are here to hopefully take some tidbits away and be like, "Oh, maybe I can implement that or whatever."
Mhm.
But I don't really know what to offer people at this point around AI. You know what I mean? Like are
I
there
definitely don't give advice about AI. I'm like, I don't
no.
know how to use it. Like, I am learning, but and also I think people need to be afforded the opportunity to make mistakes with AI, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to try a run
Yeah.
what it could be, but
Well,
sometimes it just gets like it's just the same. It's just so homogenous.
It's so
well,
true.
it kind of brings me to this question around like, there is real hesitation, especially with our older folks in our communities, but as per usual, youth and younger people are using it,
Mhm.
probably with not a lot of hesitation. And so, how do we talk about AI in our communities and teach them to use it ethically? And because if we don't talk about it, someone else will. And it to me, it leans into what we're talking about here because if someone's saying like, "Oh, you think you're better than me because you don't use AI," it's
Yeah.
like, well, actually, this is coming from a values aligned place, and it makes me wonder, like, have you done your homework? And it's
Mm.
okay that if you haven't.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm better
Mhm.
than you.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I used to get that a lot. People
All
always
the
be like, "You think you're
time.
better than me?" And I'm like, "No, I
Me
just have
too.
strong values."
Yeah.
I know.
I respect you, but I
Yeah.
feel firm in this belief, you
Yeah.
know? It's interesting.
I have boundaries for myself. I'm better than I was yesterday, and that's all I strive to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get that all the time, right? But like, I don't think I'm better than anybody else in
Mhm.
any sense, whether or not I use AI. And I do use AI, just so you know.
Mhm.
Like our team uses it. We use it. I use it in spreadsheets, like I was saying. Like, I don't know if I would have gotten through my budgeting season if I hadn't used AI. And um, the formulas that it could just spit out for me is it's so easy because it's built into Excel, and
Yeah.
this is not an ad for Microsoft, by the way. But I use it as much as I can to find, efficiencies in what I do, and when we're doing, I'm heat mapping my warehouse right now to see, like, what products get picked the most, where our picker packers go in the warehouse, like, the way they travel so that I can make it more efficient. I'm using AI to try to use that in when I create my 2D heat map in Excel to
Hmm,
pull of that information so that we can see, okay,
yeah.
here are the hot spots in our warehouse. How can we make it so that Jack 59 gets put at the front of the
Yeah.
the aisle so they don't have to walk around and then
Yeah.
go and get it, right? So,
Think
there's ways that we use AI to be optimal. So I'm not saying I don't use it. I'm not saying
No,
that,
no, I get
but
that.
mhm.
I want people to be cautious about it,
Yeah.
There's this thing is like you want to move fast. Well, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That's okay,
Yeah.
and but just as long as we're trying to figure out how do we learn from
And keep
this.
your authenticity.
Exactly. And keep your voice in it and also just, use it with caution. Know that it is still learning too on that
It's a
side.
baby.
It's a baby. Like machine learning is infant,
Yeah.
like in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think about it in terms of like social media. Everybody just jumped in no thought. Everybody just accepted it. And look
Yep.
at where we are. Where Meta wants
Just
to.
friend requesting
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't even talk to this person, but friend on
Yeah, exactly.
so
Meet
many
someone at the
friends.
bar and you're like, oh my gosh, we're friends the next day. But yeah,
Totally.
there's, Meta's made this announcement about keeping you alive digitally after you die, where it posts
Oh
on your
my
behalf
god.
and things like that. So I think, when we do talk about it in our communities, we do have a responsibility to kind of share what we do know, um, because there is a real need for it from a capacity and resource side. And I think about it, if you ever need a colonizer's advice on how to navigate a colonized system, AI is great for that. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with the CRA. Chat
Oh
GPT
my
does.
gosh, yes.
Like you need some sort of quick advice, ask ChatGPT for a colonizer view. Don't ask it what to do for your community. Ask it how to get ahead in this crazy system that we cannot get ahead in. So I love using it for that. I'm like, tell me how this white guy thinks about this. And it's like the caucasity comes back out,
Right.
In general, everybody needs to be more curious, whether that's with AI or with our personal lives or with our own voice. Like, be curious, question everything. And I'm trying to take that approach with things in my business. We hired a fractional CFO team,
Mm.
a full finance stack
Wow.
this past year, and they use AI in some of their forecasting mechanisms. And I was finding myself, like, questioning myself, like, "Oh, I don't want them to do this. I don't want them to do that." But I didn't vocalize that. They used it anyways, and then I went back and I was like, "Oh, I don't agree with this," or, "Where are they getting this number from?" Or, "What's this account?" And so, like, Sean from Raven, our investors, he said, like, this is like, yeah, question everything,
Mhm.
trust yourself and be able to have the ability to ask questions, because, like, sometimes they're wrong too, and that's okay. They're going to make mistakes. They're just people in this
Right.
experience that we're all trying to get. And so I questioned them and I said, "Hey, why are you using AI for this? Like, where did you get this number?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no, it, and I'll just preface this. They use this growth strategy for our business. So they just applied 1% of growth across the board. And it didn't work because, like, in our business, we have three different growth channels, three different revenue channels. And one is a multilinear regression model that we have to attach this strategy to that one. The other one is more linear, but it's based on historical forecasting and historical actuals. And then the other one is very different because it's based on pipeline growth. And, like, so different strategies, and AI, when you just put the blanket approach to it, maybe didn't work. And so,
Isn't that interesting? Because it's
and I
all.
didn't trust myself in order to say,
Yeah.
this is what I think. But anyways,
But
yeah.
also probably because you're thinking of growth from an Indigenous lens, which is not linear.
Thank you.
From a colonizer perspective, it's like growth is like, yeah, you're constantly going. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, no, growth is like
Yeah,
all over the place,
exactly.
right?
We're going to spend more on labor, and then we're actually going to learn there's more
Yeah.
efficiencies there. And then we're going to work backwards here and
Yeah.
forwards
Old
and, like,
roller
zigzag around.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be a bow. And, that's our growth
right.
model.
Oh,
It's literally
I love
back
that,
and forth.
right?
The growth models for Indigenous business
Totally.
are they make you dizzy.
Right.
Yes.
It is true. It's very
I realized that I had to trust myself a little bit more, that I can't just lean on these professionals that are also learning, that they know more than me about my business, right? And so I, just take the opportunity, have the audacity to question yourself and trust yourself. And I mean, that was beneficial for me. That's where I found the berries this week.
Where did you find the berries?
I found them over there in a spreadsheet.
yeah.
Of all places,
I know,
right?
right?
Found my berries in a spreadsheet. Isn't that cool? I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
realizing,
It's incredible.
What would your ancestors think about that?
what would my ancestors, my kukum, moin skaten? I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah,
Say.
right. I don't understand.
But she
Oh,
would. She would understand.
yeah.
Hmm.
Shani, where did you find the berries this week?
Do you want to know where?
Yeah.
At your birthday party.
Oh my gosh.
I
Tell me.
know.
It's amazing.
Who did you
It
meet?
was so fun.
I didn't really meet anyone.
I think we just talked all night.
That's Sean. But I kind of told you this, but I love birthdays, like, and I love seeing other people happy. Like that just really brings me so much joy. And so when Cam and his band were like serenading you, and I was telling you how I was watching, like he just had eyes for you. And then I looked at you, and you were just like looking right back at him, and I was like, oh, I just feel so like honored to be in the presence of this type of love, and I just started reflecting on that on the way home with Trevor, who's my partner, and um, I just said, I remember a point when I would have seen that and I would have felt like a sad, even though I would have been happy, I would have felt sad because it'd be like, I want that in my life too. And I didn't feel any pang because I knew I had that kind of love in my life with my partner too. Like Trevor is just, he's just I don't know. I kind of get like a bit of like a bit of a brand for like hating on men or white men, and I'm married to one, but like, I don't
Or taken back early.
yeah. I don't hate men. I just find sometimes it's a bit embarrassing. Like sometimes I feel like I should have had to come out of the closet and be like, I'm straight. It's a shame, right? But I just love him so much, and I can feel how much he loves and supports me too. And the way our relationship has really evolved just in the last few years, and I just feel really grateful for him. He's just really my safe place to land. And I'm just grateful I have that in my home, that my home is a safe place for me to land. And I have. And so, yeah, you and Cam were my berries alongside with Trevor this week. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for that. That's so kind. A lot of people say your marriage looks so easy. It looks so like natural. I'm like, we have put 20 plus
Yeah.
years every day showing up for each other into this marriage. And like sometimes that was hard. And
Yeah.
sometimes it was like that growth model that
I know.
put it in the
It's not
boat.
always like that, and
Oh,
yeah, and
ugh,
yeah, it's a choice.
it
It's
is
a
a
choice,
choice.
and it's a good choice to make and put the work in. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Some people don't know, but Cam is he's a drummer. And his name is Kumsark, and he's a drummer in this band called the Uncas. They're doing this like amazing reunion show, and it's all his buddies from like way back.
It was so cool. And they're also at the North Country Fair.
They will be, yeah, back in the day too, North
Yeah.
Country Fair.
Yeah,
But
very cool.
so Cam is a drummer, and I say this, and this I won't take too much time, but he's a drummer by trade. He went to McEwen. He studied music at McEwen, and he's always just had this love for music. That's why I love to imagine myself as a beneficiary of music, and so in supply chain world, and this is our yin and yang, in supply chain world, it was kind of the same thing. So a drummer will, nobody dances when the drummer's not there. The backbeat. They create this little pocket that the singers and the bass player and the guitar player, they can all sit within this little pocket, right? And you don't notice a drummer until they mess up. And they're in the back, they're the backbone, right? And so in the supply chain world,
It's like the heart of it.
yes. And I like to think of this in the supply chain world. It's the same thing. Nobody knew what supply chain was until the pandemic hit and they couldn't get toilet paper. They're like, no supply chain people. We're the helpers in the back. We're creating little pockets so things can move efficiently and easily. And so we're like one and the same people. And he's my backbone, and I am his, and we get to like do this dance that has become Indigenous Box. He's my co-CEO. And so our marriage is like 24/7 with each other. And, sometimes we get mad at each other for minutes at a time, but it passes, and we know that we can support each other and the businesses that we serve in the best way. So,
So
wow. Anyways,
thank you.
that was so cute. Anyone loves
Just
this.
all of our little berries, one little bowl.
I want to know where our listeners find the berries. I really want to know because, there's been a few submissions, but I think we want to share some of those in coming episodes. So if anybody's listening has something to share that would bring abundance to the rest of our listeners, please share it, because the world needs more abundance.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And we're waiting for your berries. So Well, thank you, Aunties. Thank you, friends. Thank you, listeners, for this wonderful visit. And we'll see you next week. Hi, hi.
Hi,
Hi,
hi.
hi.
Settle Down is hosted by Shawnee Gwynn, Felicia Dewar, Mallory Youngway, and Vanessa Marshall. It was produced by Omar Moalam, technical assistance by Amber Bracken. The show was recorded at 9 and Peace in Musquatchie-Oswego. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review us and follow us at Settle Down Pod. Thank you to the community of people who helped us. Janet Pruden, Merrick Tyler, Bernadine Coleman, and Be a Dreamer Films. Our music is by Asco. Our logo is designed by Pipiguan Betaguan. I'm Teresa Strawberry, and this has been Settle Down.